Hello, so first of all, I'm gonna be talking about the chemical reaction. So, what is the chemical reaction? Chemical reaction is a process in which one or more substance, which is the reactants, are converted to one or more different substance, which is the products. Substances are either chemical elements or compounds. A chemical reaction rearranges the constituent atoms of the reactants to create different substance as products. So the chemical reaction are an integral part of technology and indeed of life itself, such as burning fuels, smelting iron, making glass and pottery, brewing beer and making wine and cheese are among many examples of activities incorporating chemical reaction that have been known and used for thousands of years. So, chemical reaction abound in the geology of Earth, in the atmosphere and oceans, and other complicated processes that occur in all living systems. Chemical reaction must be distinguished from physical changes. So, physical changes include changes of state such as ice melting to water or water evaporating to vapor. If a physical change occurs, the physical properties of substance will change, but its chemical identity will remain the same, no matter what its physical state. Either it's liquid or solid, such as water and ice, it will remain the same. So water H2O is the same compound with each molecule composed of two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen. However, if water, as ice, liquid, or vapor, encounter sodium metal Na, the atoms will be redistributed to give the new substance molecular hydrogen H2 and sodium hydroxide NaOH. By this, we have know that a chemical reaction or a reaction has occurred. So, what is evidence of chemical reaction? What is science that happens that indicates a chemical reaction have occurred? So, first of all, we have gas bubbles appears after a chemical reaction has occurred and mixture becomes saturated with gas. Example of this type of reaction are when an anticide is dropped in glass of water and begins to bubble, or when boiling water bubbles. And another sign is formation of precipitide that forms after two solutions are mixed is also a sign of chemical change. The precipitide will sometimes fall to the bottom of the container, or it will may remain suspended in the mixture and make a mixture cloudy. As example of precipitide formation is when magnesium and calcium oxide mix with water in a plumping and form deposits of clogged pipes. So, another sign when the compound change during a chemical reaction, the color change as well. A color change does not always indicate that chemical change has occurred, since there are other factors that can contribute to a change in color. An example of color change due to chemical reaction is when a half-eaten apple turns brown after it has been exposed to air. So the apple made a chemical reaction with air that turned its color to brown. So here a chemical reaction has occurred. Another sign was when a temperature change is a sign of chemical reaction also that involve making bonds release energy, which makes the surrounding hotter. An example of a temperature change in a chemical reaction is when a burning fire produces heat. When energy is released due to a chemical change, it sometimes creates a light source. This type of chemical reaction tends to occur in combustion reaction, such as a fire or burning process. So a man-made chemical reaction of light example is fireworks, for example, and a natural example includes fireflies, which use a chemical reaction in their bodies to produce light. And then another sign is when volume change due to a chemical reaction is when gas bubbles from in magma inside a volcano and expand too rapidly, leading to a volcanic eruption. So here a chemical reaction has occurred. Another, finally but not lastly, when the compound changes after a chemical reaction, the taste or smell of the compound changes as well. An example of this is when fresh food that once smelled delicious slowly spoils and smells rotten. So here are the fireworks, here's the light fly, and here when the apple reacted with the air, so the color change, and here is the volcano, which is the volume change. So now we're talking about different types of chemical reaction. We have five types of chemical reaction. First, combination reaction. A reaction in which two or more reactants combine to form a single product. so is known as a combination reaction. For example, x plus y turns out to be xy. Combination reaction is also known as synthesis reaction. Example of combination reaction is 2Na plus Cl2, 2NaCl2 comes out to be 2NaCl. So another type of chemical reaction is decomposition reaction, and reaction in which a single compound breaks into two or more simpler compounds. So for example, it takes from xy to x plus y. It's the exact opposite of combination reaction. So the xy broke out to be x plus y, and the combination reaction x plus y turns out to be xy. So example of decomposition reaction is CaCO3 plus CaO plus SCaCO3 turns out and breaks to CaO plus CO2. The reaction in which a compound decomposes due to heating is known as a thermal decomposition reaction. So then we have displacement reaction, a chemical reaction in which more reactive element displace a less reactive element from its aqueous salt solution. So if x plus yz, it turns out to be xz plus y. So the x took the y's place. As I said, the less reactive, so the more reactive element displaces the less reactive element. So the x replaced the y. It's also called as substitution reaction. Example of displacement reaction is Zn plus CuSO4 turns out to be ZnSO4 plus Cu. So the Zn took the Cu place. Then we have the double displacement reaction, a chemical reaction in which ions get exchanged between two reactants which form a new compound. So xy plus Za turns out to be xz plus Ya, so it mixed ions together. It's also called as Merathese reaction. An example of double displacement reaction is BbAcL2 plus Na2SO4 turns out to be BaSO4 plus 2NaCl. It exchanged ion together to form a new compound. Then, lastly, we have precipitation reaction, a chemical reaction that involves the formation of an insoluble product, which is solid. The reactants are soluble, but products formed would be insoluble and separates out as solid. The chemical equation by which a chemical reaction is described is adequate for reaction and solution, but for reactions of ionic compound in aqueous solution, water, the typical molecular equation have different representations. So, a molecular equation may indicate formulas of reactants and products that are not present and eliminates completely the formulas of the ions that are real reactants and products. If the substance in the molecular equation that is actually present as dissociated ions are written in forms of their ions, the result is an ionic equation. A precipitation reaction occurs when a solution originally containing dissolved species produces a solid which generally is denser and falls to the bottom of the reaction vessel. The most common precipitation reaction occurring in the aqueous solution involves the formation of an insoluble ionic compound. When two solutions containing soluble compounds are mixed, consider what happens when an aqueous solution of NaCl is added to an aqueous solution AgNO3. The first solution contains hydrated Na plus Cl minus ions, and the second solution contains Ag plus NO3 minus ions. So here we have the NaClS and the NaAq turns out to be Na plus Aq plus Cl minus Aq. So here is another example of it. When mixed, a double displacement reaction takes place, forming the soluble compound NaNO3 and the insoluble compound AgCl in the reactive vessel. The Ag3 plus Cl minus ions combine, and a white solid precipitation form the solution. So as the solid precipitation, the Na plus NO and NO minus 3 ions remain in the solution. So here's an example, a balanced example of the double displacement reaction. The precipitation reaction. The overall double displacement reaction is represented by the following equation. Then I have a summary. our table for the types of chemical reaction, explanations, and general reaction. So as we said, the combination reaction, two or more compounds combine to form one compound. So A plus B is AB. And then we have the decomposition reaction, which is the exact opposite of the combination reaction, turns AB to A plus B. Then we have the precipitation reaction. Two solutions of soluble salts are mixed, resulting in an insoluble solid. Um, so A plus soluble salt B, precipitate plus soluble salt C. And then neutralization reaction. An acid and base react with each other. Generally, the product of this reaction is a salt and water. So added acid plus base equals salt plus water. Then the composition reaction. Oxygen combines with the compound to form carbon dioxide and water. These reactions are exothermic, meaning they give off heat. So A plus O2 equal H2O plus CO2. And then the displacement reaction, one element takes place with another element in the compound. So A plus BC equal AC plus B. So here the A took the B's place beside the C. Thanks for listening.